So if I hear an instrumental or I hear like a sample or beat or anything, I think about how are most people going to write to it, and then what can I do to kind of change it.
QUO, as in status quo, or is it pronounced?
Well, so yeah, it's quo, but the name itself and metaphorically breaking the status quo. Me as a Latino rapper, we don't have many of those. And then kind of what I talk about, the issues I talk about, how I talk about them. So like that, along those lines.
How long have you been writing and performing your own music?
So writing, I didn't start performing and writing around the same time. I started writing first, I want to say about freshman year. So freshman year into sophomore year of high school. And then I started really performing, or at least beginning the process of performing around junior year.
What kind of interested you in starting to write?
So when I began writing in freshman year, some of the mainstream music I would listen to, so like Lil Wayne was out a lot, Drake was out a lot, like they kind of dominated a lot of the hip hop sphere. I kind of was influenced by their styles and their kind of cadence, and I tried to transform that into my own. But it wasn't until towards the end of sophomore year that I started actually listening to different artists, some pioneers of the game, and then that's when it started to transform. Common, Black Star, so most definitely Talib Kweli. Big fan of Nas, that's like my favorite artist of all time. And Black Thought, I think, so Nas is like my favorite artist of all time. Black Thought I think is the best rapper of all time.
Oh wow, okay.
Yes, those are like the rappers that kind of influenced me the most now.
Okay.
In terms of style, in terms of approaching.
I've listened to a few of your songs on SoundCloud, and I noticed that most of them are done by different producers.
Yeah.
And I was just wondering how that kind of came about, and
yeah.
If you find some of the songs have a different feel to them because of the different people you worked with.
Some of the different producers, so some of them I've met in New York City. We've kind of like established a connection. And then some I've actually never even met. We've kind of talked online and worked on getting something together. Like I'd send them the lyrics to songs, and I'll ask them like, if you're kind of, I guess like on the same page, we could try to work something out. And then that builds a connection in the long run. If they really like the song, then we continue to work together. The different beats themselves, they do invoke like a different emotion, a different way of going about the song. But I really try to take a whole different approach. So if I hear an instrumental or I hear like a sample or beat or anything, I think about how are most people going to write to it, and then what can I do to kind of change it.
Is this your first mixtape that you've released?
Alright, so I had done a mixtape in the past, like sophomore year.
But that's like
that was like my kind of, that was like the one that you kind of tell people, exactly, you kind of tell people about. You're really, really close to the team, you tell them about, but yeah, I mean, that was just me really getting the process going. This is my first actual thought out, well-planned, I wanted a theme behind it, the autobiography of a common man, the certain songs, why I placed them in the places they were placed in, the skit that I used, stuff like that. So this was more of a well thought out project. I would consider, I don't want to say the debut because it's not necessarily my debut, but in terms of preparation, yeah. For sure.
How long did this mixtape take to really?
So on and off, I would say from senior year high school to this point.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just so like I would write, like I could get 5 or 6 songs written in like a couple of weeks if it was going, if the pen was going, if I could think of things. But then you have school, you have the work, you have other obligations you kind of have to take care of. So I had to make sure that I addressed all of those, so then kind of translated into an on and off kind of process of getting the project done. If I was just doing music, just writing the project, it probably would have been done in half a year, 8 months. And I definitely have, not difficulty, but it's always a challenge on performing it live because I can't take breaks on some of the songs. We see some like rappers, especially today, when they go and they perform it, they can relax on some songs where it's a little bit more laid back, where they can kind of ride the chorus, or it's the chorus is much more like prevalent throughout the track. For me, it's like as you were mentioning, it's kind of like I have a song where it's like 3-4 minutes straight through of me rapping, or like the chorus will be like just a small little part. and it's definitely hard to always get out there and perform it to like the best. You always want to give it your best, so it's a lot. And like some songs, it's just flowing and flowing and flowing. I probably did about 22 songs that I was considering from those to be a part of the tape. I definitely didn't want to exclude like some of the ones I was like, okay, no, this is definitely what I want to do. It's definitely what I want to convey to the people listening to the music. And I thought that it just gelled, and I thought that it tackled different issues that were somehow still interrelated.
Right.
So
what do you want listeners to really take away from your music?
From this project specifically?
From this project specifically.
So this project was titled The Autobiography of a Common Man. Some of the songs talk about my life, talk about certain points in my life. I have certain songs about my family, certain songs about being kind of introduced into the hip-hop culture, and that's like my story. And then I also tell the stories of different people, and it's kind of to show there isn't much of a divide between me and the person listening. And you can get that through the mesh of different stories, that some are about me and some are about just people I know and people I've come across and met from traveling and my mentors and my own family members. So it's like there isn't much of a divide. We share similar stories, share similar struggles. Just because I'm here telling the stories or rapping it doesn't mean that we don't all have the potential to get to that point. And that just goes for everything as well. Me and someone else who may feel like, oh, I can't get to this level of rapping, for example. It's just practice. It's just practice and practice. And we were all once at that point, and someone showed us the ropes. So it's just like kind of showing that we can all actually come together and we can ask for help.
What you write is so based on everything that's happening around you. What are you kind of looking for, I guess, with these years to come? Well, in the future, my music kind of depends on whatever's happening. It's never, like, it's always dynamic. It's never going to be static. There's going to be so much change, which means that my music will change. I'll always bring 100%, but you will never expect the same tape again. So one tape is done one type of way, that's it. You hold on to that, and that'll be one type of sound. The next one is going to be different, the one after that's going to be different, because time is always changing, the periods are always changing. And it's not necessarily like, oh, I want to adjust to this wave. There's like a wave, a mainstream wave. No, not at all. The ideas, the stories, the concepts that I kind of invoke in the music, they'll be different. Is there anything else that you would like to add?
I mean, if you're into the music, you know, into kind of listening to storytelling type of hip hop, you know, make sure to check out the project.
I live like I'm running late so I can feel pressure with a minute to spare. Dissatisfied like I drew a spit. Finish you off in the jungle up to Sinclair. Bit the shit that we always eat and got a vision impaired. And Bob Marley stays